In a distant corner of the galaxy, far from the bustling trade routes and glittering cities of advanced civilizations, an alien mercenary group known as the Vrikan Collective received an unusual request. The job offer came through encrypted channels, sent by a wealthy corporate entity that preferred to remain anonymous. The task seemed straightforward: eliminate a small human elite unit stationed on a remote mining planet called EO7, two most mercenaries. Such a mission would have been routine, an easy payday for skilled warriors like the Vrykans. But this time something felt different. Kelthur, the leader of the Vrikan Collective, stood in his dimly lit command chamber aboard their sleek warship. His armored exoskeleton gleamed faintly under the soft glow of holographic displays scattered around the room. He stared at the details of the contract, his sharp eyes scanning the information carefully. The target was a group of humans only. 6 individuals guarding a classified research facility on EO7. On paper, it sounded simple enough. Humans were often seen as fragile compared to many other species in the galaxy. Their technology, while impressive, rarely matched the raw power of alien weaponry. So why did this mission feel off? Zanara, Kelthur's second-in-command, entered the chamber silently. Her slender frame moved with grace, her metallic claws clicking softly against the floor. She tilted her head slightly, studying him with piercing yellow eyes. "You sense it too, don't you?" Shh. Voice low and melodic, Kelthur nodded slowly. "There's more to these humans than meets the eye," he replied. The client didn't provide much detail about them, just their location and numbers. That alone is suspicious. Zanara crossed her arms over her chest. "We've taken contracts against humans before. They're clever but predictable. Makes this group so special?" "That's what worries me," Kelthur said, turning to face her fully. "I've heard whispers among traders and bounty hunters about certain human elite forces. They say these soldiers are unlike any others. Some even claim they've turned down entire armies single-handedly." Zinara raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. "Humans turning back armies. Those stories sound exaggerated," maybe Kelthur admitted. "But we can't afford to underestimate them, not when our reputation is on the line." He paused, considering his next move. "We'll gather intelligence first, send out a recon team to observe them. If they're as formidable as the rumors suggest, we'll need to adjust our strategy. Meanwhile, light years away on the Baron." Surface of EO7, Lieutenant Ryan Cole led his team through their daily routines. The mining planet was desolate, its rocky terrain stretching endlessly beneath a pale orange sky. Dust storms swept across the landscape regularly, making life uncomfortable for anyone stationed there. Yet despite the harsh conditions, Ryan and his squad had adapted well. They were professionals, trained to operate in even the most unforgiving environments. Ryan's team consisted of 5 other highly skilled individuals, each bringing unique strengths to the group. Sergeant Megan Hayes was the backbone of the unit, her calm demeanor masking a fierce determination. Corporal Ethan Blake handled logistics and engineering, ensuring their equipment remained functional no matter what. Laura Simmons served as the medic, patching up wounds and keeping everyone healthy. Daniel Brooks managed communications, maintaining contact with headquarters and monitoring for potential threats. And then there was Alex Carter, the sniper, whose aim was so precise it bordered on supernatural. Their mission was simple: guard the classified research facility located near the center of the mining operation. Officially, the facility was conducting geological studies to determine the planet's resource potential. Unofficially, Ryan knew better. Whatever secrets lay inside those reinforced walls were critical enough to warrant sending an elite unit. To protect them, he didn't ask questions. He trusted his superiors to tell him only what he needed to know. For now, his focus was on keeping his team safe and ready for anything. Life on EO7 was monotonous, yet tense. Days blurred together as the squad performed patrols, maintained their defenses, and waited for anything to happen. Ryan tried to keep morale high, organizing training exercises and encouraging downtime activities whenever possible. Still, the isolation weighed heavily on all of them. Even the most disciplined soldiers couldn't escape the creeping sense of unease that came with being so far from home. One evening, As the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in shades of crimson and gold, Ryan gathered his team. Inside their makeshift barracks, the structure was little more than a reinforced tent, but it provided shelter from the biting winds outside. Everyone sat around a folding table, eating rations and sharing stories to pass the time. "So what do you think is really going on here?" Ethan asked, between bites of dried meat. "I mean, come on. Geological studies? Who are they trying to fool?" Megan chuckled softly. "Does it matter? Our job is to keep people away, not figure out why they want to get close."
That.
"Weird," Ethan muttered, shaking his head. "This place gives me the creeps." Laura leaned forward, resting her elbows on the table. "It's not the planet that's creepy, it's the waiting. Something's bound to go wrong eventually. I just hope we're ready when it does." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "That's why we train every day. No matter what happens, we stick to the plan. We watch each other's backs and stay alert." "Got it." His words earned murmurs of agreement from the group. Despite their differences, they trusted one another implicitly. Each member of the team brought something vital to the table, and together they formed a cohesive unit capable of handling whatever challenges came their way. Unbeknownst to them, danger was closer than they realized. High above the planet's atmosphere, the Vrikan warship orbited silently. Kelther had deployed a small reconnaissance team to gather data on the humans. Equipped with advanced cloaking devices, the scouts landed undetected several kilometers away from the human base. Their orders were clear: observe, analyze, report back. As the Vrikan scouts crept closer to the human encampment, they marveled at the efficiency of the soldiers. Everything about the human setup screamed professionalism. Their patrols followed unpredictable patterns, making it nearly impossible to anticipate movements. Sensors and automated turrets covered every approach, leaving no blind spots. Even the layout of the camp itself seemed designed to maximize defensive capabilities. One of the scouts, a young warrior named Vorik, whispered into his communicator. "These humans are disciplined. Their movements are synchronized, almost instinctual. It's like they share a hive mind." Back on the ship, Kelther listened intently to the reports streaming in. His initial suspicions were growing stronger. These humans weren't ordinary soldiers. They were something else entirely. Whatever secrets they guarded, they took their duty seriously. For now, the Vrykans would remain patient. Observing the humans was only the first step. Once they had enough information, Kelther would decide how best to proceed. Until then, the mercenaries watched and waited, their curiosity piqued by the mystery unfolding on the dusty plains. Of EOS-7, little did either side know. The events about to unfold would change everything, not just for the humans and the Vrykans, but for countless others across the galaxy. The Vrikan scouts continued their surveillance of the human base on EO7, moving silently under the cover of darkness. Their cloaking technology rendered them nearly invisible, but they dared not get too close. The humans had proven themselves to be sharp observers, and even the slightest misstep could give away their position. From a safe distance, the scouts watched as the elite unit carried out their duties with precision and efficiency. Lieutenant Ryan Cole led his team through another routine patrol, his eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of trouble. Despite the monotony of their days, he refused to let his guard down. Something about this mission felt different, like the calm before a storm. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, though every sensor reading came up clean. Still, he trusted his instincts and kept his team prepared for anything as night fell over the barren landscape. The humans settled into their barracks for some much-needed rest. Only 2 guards remained outside, stationed at opposite ends of the perimeter. Megan Hayes, one of the most experienced soldiers in the group, took her post near the main gate. She leaned against the railing of the observation platform, her rifle slung across her shoulder, and gazed out into the endless expanse of rocks and dust. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional howl of the wind. Unbeknownst to Megan, the Vrikan scouts were closing in. Kelthar had ordered them to test the humans' defenses not openly, but subtly enough to provoke a reaction without revealing their full strength. One of the scouts, a stealth specialist named Rinok, crept closer to the perimeter fence. His movements were fluid and deliberate, each step calculated to avoid triggering any alarms. As he reached the edge of the fence line, he activated a small device designed to mimic the signal of an intruder. Moments later, security drone whirred to life, its sensors detecting the false signal. The machine hovered toward the disturbance, its cameras scanning the area for threats. Megan noticed the drone's movement immediately and raised her rifle, peering through the scope to track its path. When the drone stopped abruptly and began emitting warning signals, she acted without hesitation. Perimeter breach. Megan called into her communicator, alerting the rest of the team. Drones picking up something near Sector 3. Ryan sprang into action, grabbing his weapon, and rushing outside. Within seconds, the entire squad was mobilized, spreading out to investigate the source of the disturbance. Ethan Blake joined Megan at the gate, while Alex Carter scaled the observation tower to get a better vantage point. Laura Simmons stayed behind in the barracks, ready to provide medical support if needed. Daniel Brooks monitored the situation from the communications hub, keeping an eye on all incoming data. The security drone continued its erratic behavior, drawing closer to where Rinok stood hidden. The Vrikan scout smirked beneath his mask, impressed by the human's quick response time. But his satisfaction turned to alarm when Alex Carter fired a single shot from his sniper rifle, disabling the drone mid-flight. The bullet struck true, severing the drone's power core and sending it crashing to the ground. Kelthar watched the scene unfold through the feed transmitted by Rinok's helmet camera. His expression remained unreadable, but his mind raced with questions. How had the human sniper pinpointed the exact location of the drone's weak spot? And why had the entire team reacted so swiftly, as though they'd anticipated the threat? Back at the base, Ryan assessed the situation. That wasn't random interference, he said firmly. Someone or something is testing us. Megan nodded in agreement. Could be scavengers or raiders checking our defenses. Either way, we can't afford to let our guard down. Ryan ordered double patrols for the remainder of the night, ensuring that every corner of the base remained secure. Meanwhile, Kelthar instructed his scouts to retreat temporarily. They had gathered enough information for now, and engaging further risked exposing their presence prematurely. On board the Vrikan warship, Kelthar convened a meeting with his top commanders. Zanara stood beside him, her arms crossed as she reviewed the footage captured during the reconnaissance mission. Tavrik, a seasoned warrior with a reputation for brutal efficiency, voiced his concerns first. These humans are no ordinary soldiers, Tavrik growled. Their reflexes, their coordination unnatural. Even our best units would struggle against them. Kelthar nodded thoughtfully. I agree, there's something unusual about them. We need to understand what makes them so effective. Before we commit to a direct assault, Zanara stepped forward, her yellow eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. What do you propose? Lala and ped ped pepeten ped That won't tell us everything we need to know. No, Kelthar replied. We'll escalate the stakes slightly. A minor attack one, designed to draw out their true capabilities without revealing our full force. If we hit them hard enough, they'll respond in kind. and we'll learn exactly what we're dealing against. The plan was set into motion within hours. Skelthor selected a small strike team consisting of 6 warriors, including Rinnock and Tavrik. Their mission was simple: ambush the human perimeter guards and gauge their defensive strategies. A goal wasn't to eliminate the humans entirely, but to push them to their limits and observe how they adapted. Under the cover of darkness, the strike team approached the human base once again. This time, however, they dispensed with subtlety. Using disruptor grenades, they disabled several sections of the perimeter fence, creating gaps large enough for them to slip through undetected. Once inside, they split into pairs, each targeting a different section of the camp. The first explosion rocked the base just after midnight, jolting everyone awake. Ryan grabbed his rifle and sprinted outside, shouting orders to his team. Megan and Ethan rushed to defend the main gate, while Alex climbed to the highest point of the observation tower, scanning for targets. Daniel worked frantically to restore the damaged sensors, and Laura prepared the medkit. Anticipating casualties, chaos erupted as the Vrikan warriors launched their coordinated assault. Blasts of energy lit up the night sky, forcing the humans to take cover. Yet despite the suddenness of the attack, the elite unit responded with remarkable speed and precision. Megan directed Ethan to lay down suppressive fire, allowing Ryan to flank one of the attackers. Alex picked off another Vrikan soldier with a perfectly aimed shot, his bullet finding its mark even in the chaos. Tavrik led his pair toward the communications hub, intent on cutting off the human's ability to call for reinforcements. But Daniel anticipated the move, setting up traps along the most likely routes of approach. When the Vrikans triggered one of the traps, a tripwire rigged to release a cloud of blinding smoke, they stumbled, giving Daniel enough time to counterattack. He used a portable EMP device to disable their weapons, leaving them vulnerable to capture. Meanwhile, Ryan engaged Rinnock in close combat near the northern edge of the camp. The Vrikan scout was fast and agile, his claws slicing through the air with deadly accuracy. Ryan ducked and weaved, using his surroundings to his advantage. He hurled a piece of debris at Rinnock, momentarily disorienting him, then lunged forward. With his combat knife, the blade grazed Rinnock's armor, causing the alien to retreat hastily as the battle raged on. The humans demonstrated a level of adaptability that left the Vrikan strike team stunned. Every time they thought they had gained the upper hand, the humans countered with unexpected tactics. Improvised barricades blocked key pathways, forcing the aliens to change course repeatedly. Traps hidden in plain sight claimed several more casualties, thinning the ranks of the attackers. Realizing the situation was spiraling out of control, Tavrik signaled for a retreat. The remaining Vrikan warriors regrouped and fled back through the gaps in the fence, disappearing into the darkness as quickly as they had arrived. Back aboard their warship, they reported their findings to Kelthar, who listened intently. "There. Unlike any enemy we've faced before," Tavrik admitted grudgingly. "Their teamwork is flawless, and they adapt faster than anyone I've ever seen." Kelthar leaned back in his chair, deep in thought. These humans weren't just skilled fighters, they were strategists, capable of turning the tide of battle with minimal resources. For the first time in his long career, he found himself questioning whether completing the contract was worth the cost. For now, the Vrikans would regroup and reassess their options. Whatever secrets these humans guarded, they clearly valued them above all else and were willing to fight tooth and nail to protect them. The aftermath of the Vrikan ambush left the human base in disarray, though not defeated. Lieutenant Ryan Cole stood amidst the smoldering remnants of their defenses, his jaw clenched as he surveyed the damage. The perimeter fence was torn in multiple places, and several pieces of equipment lay broken or disabled. Yet despite the chaos, his team had emerged victorious. No one was seriously injured, and they had managed to repel the attackers with minimal losses. Still, Ryan knew this was only the beginning. "Let's clean this up," Ryan said, his voice firm but calm. "Ethan, get the fence repaired. Megan, I want you and Alex to sweep the area for any signs of the enemy. Daniel, see if you can trace where those disruptor grenades came from. Laura, stay on standby in case anyone needs patching up." His orders were met with nods of agreement. The team moved quickly, each member focused on their assigned task. Ethan retrieved tools from the supply shed and began welding the damaged sections of the fence back together. Megan and Alex ventured into the rocky terrain beyond the base, their weapons at the ready. They scanned the ground for footprints or other evidence of the attackers' retreat route. Daniel returned to the communications hub, analyzing data. Logs in an attempt to pinpoint the origin of the assault. Ryan walked among his team, offering words of encouragement and making sure everyone stayed sharp. He couldn't shake the feeling that the attack had been more than just a random raid. Whoever these enemies were, they were organized, well-equipped, and highly skilled. And they weren't done yet. Back aboard the Vrykan warship, Kelther sat in silence, reviewing the strike team's report. The footage captured during the battle played on a holographic display before him, showing every move the humans had made. Their coordination was impeccable. Every action seemed to flow seamlessly into the next, as if they shared a single mind. Even when outnumbered and caught off guard, they adapted instantly, using whatever resources they had to turn the tide. "They're dangerous," Zinara said, breaking the silence. She stood beside Kelther, her claws tapping lightly against her armored forearm. "More dangerous than we anticipated." Kelthar nodded slowly. "These humans are unlike any others we've encountered. Their adaptability is remarkable. It's almost unnatural." Tavrik growled in frustration. "We underestimated them once. That won't happen again. Next time, we hit harder and smarter." "No," Kelther replied firmly. "Not yet. We need to understand what makes them so effective. There's something about this group that sets them apart. Until we know what it is, we risk losing more warriors and, possibly the entire mission." Zinara tilted her head curiously.
What?
"Do you suggest another round of surveillance?" Kelther thought for a moment before answering. "Yes, but this time, we focus on gathering intelligence about their technology and tactics. If they have access to advanced weaponry or some kind of enhancement, we need to know about it. Send out another recon team, but keep them hidden. See if we can uncover their secrets without tipping our hand." Meanwhile, back on EO7, Megan and Alex returned from their sweep empty-handed. The rocky landscape offered little cover, and the attackers had vanished without a trace. Despite this, Megan remained vigilant. "They'll be back," she said confidently. "Whoever they are, they didn't come here just to test us," Ryan agreed. "Exactly, which means we need to prepare for another attack, can make sure we're ready to capture one of them alive." The idea sparked immediate interest among the team. Capturing an enemy would give them valuable insight into who or what they were dealing with. Ryan called everyone together to discuss the plan. Decided to set up traps around the base. It's designed not only to incapacitate intruders, but also to immobilize them for interrogation. Alex volunteered to take point on designing the traps, while Ethan worked on reinforcing the remaining defenses as the humans fortified their position. The Vrikan recon team quietly resumed its observations. This time, they kept their distance, relying on long-range scanners and drones to gather information. What they discovered astonished them. The humans were scavenging parts from the damaged equipment left behind during the previous attack and using them to create new defensive systems. One drone captured footage of Ethan assembling a makeshift turret powered by salvaged components. Another showed Alex rigging tripwires connected to EMP devices, capable of disabling electronic systems. Kelther watched the feed intently, his expression unreadable. "Ingenious," he muttered under his breath. "They use everything around them to their advantage." Zinara leaned closer to the display, her eyes narrowing. Their resourcefulness is impressive, but it's not enough to explain how they fought so effectively. There's something else at play here. Determined to find answers, Kelther ordered the recon team to push further. Under the cover of darkness, they deployed a small probe equipped with advanced scanning technology. The device hovered silently over the human camp, collecting detailed readings of the soldiers' physiology and equipment. When the data was transmitted back to the warship, it revealed startling information. The humans possessed enhanced reflexes and heightened sensory perception, far beyond what was considered normal for their species. "This changes everything," Zinara said. staring at the analysis results. These humans aren't ordinary. They've been augmented somehow, either through genetic modification or cybernetic enhancements. Kelthar frowned deeply. Augmented humans? That explains their speed and precision. But why send such a highly specialized unit to guard? A remote mining planet? What could possibly be worth protecting here? The question lingered unanswered, but it gave Kelthar pause. Whatever secrets the humans guarded, they clearly valued them above all else. Attacking them directly might prove too costly, not just in terms of casualties, but in reputation. The Vrykon Collective prided itself on being ruthless and efficient, but even they had limits. On the ground, Ryan and his team continued their preparations. They worked tirelessly throughout the day, setting up additional layers of defense and rehearsing counterattack strategies. By nightfall, the base resembled a fortress, bristling with traps and automated turrets. Ryan gathered his squad once more, briefing them on the updated plan. If they come back and we let them think they've gained the upper hand, Ryan explained. Then we spring the trap. Our goal isn't just to drive them off, it's to capture one of them alive. We need answers. Megan nodded grimly. Understood. But be careful, sir. If they're as smart as they seem, they'll expect us to try something like this. I'm counting on it, Ryan replied with a faint smile. That's why we'll give them exactly what they're looking for, a chance to underestimate us. Hours passed, and the tension in the air grew palpable. The humans took turns keeping watch, their senses tuned to the slightest sound or movement. Finally, just after midnight, the Vrykons struck again. This time they approached cautiously, testing the new defenses. A trio of scouts crept toward the base, avoiding the most obvious traps. But as they neared the main gate, one of them triggered a hidden pressure plate buried beneath the sand. Instantly, a net laced with electrified wires shot up from the ground, ensnaring two of the scouts and rendering them unconscious. The third scout attempted to flee, but Alex Carter was waiting. From his perch atop the observation tower, he fired a tranquilizer dart that struck the alien squarely in the neck. Within moments, the rest of the team converged on the scene. Ryan signaled for silence as they secured the captives, binding them tightly to prevent escape. The unconscious aliens were dragged inside the barracks, where Laura Simmons examined them carefully. Though their anatomy was unfamiliar, she noted subtle differences in their physical structure: enhanced musculature, bioluminescent markings, and razor-sharp claws. They're not human, Laura whispered, her voice tinged with awe. But they're definitely intelligent. Look at their armor, it's advanced, maybe even experimental. Ryan crouched beside one of the captives, studying its features closely. Whoever sent them doesn't want us sticking around, he said. And they're willing to spend a lot to make sure of it. As dawn broke over EO7, the humans prepared to interrogate their prisoners. For now, they had the upper hand, but Ryan knew better than to celebrate prematurely. These aliens were part of something bigger, and until they uncovered the truth, the battle was far from over. The interrogation room inside the human base was dimly lit, with only a single overhead light casting harsh shadows across the table. Lieutenant Ryan Cole stood beside one of the captured Vrykon warriors, who lay restrained on a metal chair. The alien's bioluminescent markings flickered faintly, pulsing in rhythm with its breathing. Despite being unconscious from the tranquilizer dart, the creature exuded an aura of menace, even in its subdued state. Laura Simmons hovered nearby, monitoring the alien's vitals on a portable scanner. "It's waking up," she announced quietly. Glancing at Ryan, heart rates increasing. Ryan nodded, his expression unreadable. He had spent hours preparing for this moment, knowing that extracting information wouldn't be easy. Aliens like these weren't likely to cooperate willingly. Still, they had no choice but to try. Understanding their enemy was key to surviving whatever came next. As the Vrykon scout regained consciousness, its glowing eyes snapped open, darting around the room with predatory sharpness, let out a low growl, tugging against the restraints, binding it to the chair. Megan Hayes stepped forward, her rifle slung casually over her shoulder. and leaned down so her face was inches from the aliens. "You're outnumbered and outmatched," Megan said firmly. Her tone left no room for argument. "Talk or things will get worse for you." The Vriken snarled, its claws scraping against the metal bindings. Though it didn't speak, its body language made its defiance clear. Ryan exchanged a glance, with Laura silently asking if they could administer a sedative to calm the creature down. She shook her head slightly, indicating that further drugs might jeopardize its health and their chances of getting answers. "Let me handle this," Alex Carter offered, stepping into the room. Unlike Megan's direct approach, Alex preferred subtlety, crouched beside the alien, placing a small device on the table between them. The gadget emitted a soft hum, projecting holographic images of the battlefield where the humans had repelled the previous attacks. "We know you've been watching us," Alex said calmly, his voice measured. "You've seen what we're capable of. If you tell us who sent you and why, we can make sure you walk away from this alive." The Vriken's glowing eyes narrowed, studying Alex intently. For a long moment there was silence, and unexpectedly, it spoke a guttural, clicking sound that echoed through the room. To everyone's surprise, the translator module built into Daniel Brooks's communications equipment picked up the signal and converted the alien's words into broken English. "You cannot win," the Vricon rasped. Its voice was rough, almost mechanical. "Your resistance is futile." Ryan arched an eyebrow, intrigued by the response. "We've already proven we can hold our own," he replied evenly. "But you haven't answered my question. Who are you working for?" The alien sneered, baring its jagged teeth. "You think. You understand? You are nothing. Fleeting lives and endless stars." Megan rolled her eyes, clearly unimpressed. "Poetic, but not helpful. Try again." Despite its hostility, the Vrikan seemed reluctant to reveal more. Frustrated, Ryan signaled for Ethan Blake to bring in another piece of equipment, a portable EMP generator. He placed it on the table, letting the alien see it clearly. "If you don't start talking," Ryan warned, "we'll use this on you. It won't kill you, but trust me, you won't enjoy it." The Vrikan hesitated, its glowing eyes flickering nervously. Finally, after a tense pause, it relented. "Kelthar, leader sent us." "To test you." "Test us," Ryan echoed, leaning closer. "For what purpose?" "To see if you are worthy foes," the alien admitted reluctantly. "He respects strength. Cunning. You have both." Ryan exchanged a quick look with Megan. This revelation added a new layer of complexity to their situation. These aliens weren't mindless. Mercenaries, they were testing the humans, gauging their worthiness as opponents. But why? Before Ryan could press further, alarms blared throughout the base. Daniel's voice crackled over the intercom. "Sir, we've got movement outside. Multiple hostiles approaching fast." The team sprang into action, leaving the restrained Vrecken under guard as they rushed to defend the base. From the observation tower, Alex spotted a larger force of Vrikan warriors advancing across the rocky terrain. This time, they weren't hiding. Their movements were bold and aggressive, signaling an loud assault. "They're coming straight for us," Alex reported, his sniper rifle trained on the horizon. "Looks like double the numbers from last time." Ryan clenched his jaw, his mind racing. They had prepared for this possibility, but facing such overwhelming odds still felt daunting. "Stick to the plan," he ordered. "Fall back to the secondary perimeter. Let them walk into the traps." The humans retreated strategically, luring the Vrikens deeper into their fortified zone. As the aliens breached the outer defenses, they triggered a series of hidden explosives and automated turrets. Blasts erupted across the landscape, forcing the attackers to scatter. Yet despite the chaos, the Vrikens adapted quickly, using their superior agility to dodge the worst of the traps. Kelthar himself led the charge, his armored form cutting through the battlefield like a blade. He moved with terrifying speed, his claws slicing through anything in his path. When he reached the inner perimeter, he locked eyes with Ryan, who stood waiting with his rifle raised. "You fight well, human," Kelthar growled, his voice deep and resonant, but your efforts are wasted. Surrender now, and I may spare your lives. Ryan smirked, unfazed by the threat. Surrender? That's funny. We're just getting started. With that, the two leaders clashed in a fierce duel. Kelthor's raw power was undeniable, each strike aimed to incapacitate or kill. But Ryan fought with cunning and precision, using every trick he'd learned in combat training. He dodged and parried, keeping just out of reach while searching for an opening. Behind him, his team held their ground, fending off waves of Vrekan warriors with coordinated fire and improvised tactics. Megan directed Ethan to set up a makeshift barricade, buying them precious seconds to regroup. Laura tended to minor injuries, her hands steady despite the chaos around her. Meanwhile, Alex continued picking off enemies from above, his shots finding their marks with deadly accuracy. Even Daniel contributed, jamming the Vrykans' communication signals and creating confusion among their ranks. Despite their resilience, the humans began to feel the strain. Outnumbered and exhausted, they couldn't hold the line forever. Sensing victory within reach, Kelthor pressed harder, driving Ryan back step by step. Just when it seemed the tide might turn against them, Megan executed a daring maneuver. Seizing a flare gun from her belt, she fired a bright red signal high into the sky. Moments later, a deafening roar filled the air as a massive explosion tore through the battlefield. The minefield she had secretly prepared days earlier detonated, engulfing a large contingent of Vrekan warriors in flames and shrapnel. The blast shook the ground, forcing both sides to take cover. When the dust settled, the Vrekans were in disarray. Many of their fighters lay injured or dead, their advance halted by the devastating trap. Lethera stared at the carnage, his expression unreadable. For the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. These humans were proving to be far more resourceful and dangerous than he had anticipated. Realizing the futility of continuing the assault, Kelthor called for a temporary ceasefire. Raising a clawed hand, he signaled his remaining forces to withdraw. As the surviving Vrykans retreated, Ryan and his team watched warily, weapons still trained on the enemy. Once the immediate threat was gone, Ryan turned to his squad. Good work, everyone. But don't relax yet. This isn't over. Back aboard the Vrekan warship, Kelthor convened an emergency council with his commanders. The mood was somber as they assessed the heavy losses suffered during the battle. Tavrik paced angrily, his frustration boiling over. We should have crushed them, he snarled. They're outnumbered and outgunned. How could we fail? It's not failure, Kelthor countered sharply. It's adaptation. These humans are unlike any foe we've faced before. Their unity, their ingenuity, makes them stronger than we expected. Zenara nodded thoughtfully. What do we do now? Continue the mission? Or cut our losses and leave? Kelthor hesitated, weighing his options carefully. Completing. The contract would require committing even greater resources, risking further casualties, and potentially tarnishing the Vrekan Collective's reputation. On the other hand, abandoning the mission altogether carried its own risks, especially if word spread that they had been bested by humans. Finally, he reached a decision. We'll negotiate, he declared. If these humans value their secrets so highly, then perhaps we can strike a deal. Safe passage in exchange for leaving them alone. His words stunned his crew, but none dared challenge him. Kelthor was known for his pragmatism, and this situation demanded a different kind of strategy. With renewed resolve, he prepared to meet the humans once more, not as adversaries, but as equals seeking mutual understanding. On EO7, Ryan and his team awaited the next move, uncertain of what the future held. One thing was clear: they had earned the respect of one of the most feared mercenary groups in the galaxy. But as they gazed out at the desolate landscape, they knew their fight was far from finished. Whatever secrets they guarded, they would continue to protect at any cost. The battlefield was eerily quiet after the Vrekan retreat. Smoke lingered in the air, curling lazily upward from the remnants of the minefield explosion. The humans stood amidst the destruction they had caused, their weapons still at the ready. Though victorious for now, no one relaxed. Ryan Cole scanned the horizon, his sharp eyes searching for any sign of movement. He knew better than to trust an enemy that could strike again at any moment. "Stay alert," Ryan said firmly, his voice steady despite the fatigue etched into his face. "They might come back." Megan Hayes nodded, reloading her rifle with practiced efficiency. "If they do, we'll be ready." Ethan Blake worked alongside Daniel Brooks to repair damaged equipment and restore power to sections of the base affected by the battle. Laura Simmons tended to minor injuries, handing out bandages and painkillers where needed. Alex Carter remained perched atop the observation tower, his sniper rifle trained on the distant rocks. Everyone moved with purpose, their actions driven by a shared determination to survive, unbeknownst to them. Kelthor and his remaining forces had regrouped aboard their warship. The alien leader paced the command chamber, replaying the events of the battle in his mind. His species prided itself on dominance and being feared across the galaxy. Yet here he was, forced to reconsider his approach because of a small group of humans who refused to yield. Zanara approached him cautiously, her metallic claws clicking softly against the floor. "What's the plan?" she asked, her tone measured. Kelthor stopped pacing and turned to face her. "We negotiate," he replied. "These humans have proven themselves formidable. Continuing the assault would cost us too much. Instead, we offer them a deal." Tavrik growled in frustration. "Negotiate with humans? This is unheard of." "It's practical," Kelthor countered sharply. "Our mission was to test the mand. They've passed. Now it's time to cut our losses and move on. If we leave peacefully, they may allow U.S. safe passage without further conflict." Zanara tilted her head thoughtfully. "And if they refuse?" Kelthor's gaze hardened. "Then we fight, but only as a last resort. For now, let's see what kind of terms we can agree upon." That Kelthor signaled for a communications drone to be deployed. It descended toward the human base, broadcasting a message over open channels. When Ryan heard the transmission, he frowned deeply. "This is Kelthar of the Vrikan Collective." The alien leader's voice crackled through the speakers. "We wish to speak, no weapons, no tricks." Ryan exchanged glances with Megan and Alex, weighing their options. Trusting the Vrykans felt like a gamble, but ignoring the offer might escalate tensions further. After a brief discussion, Ryan decided to meet them halfway, literally. He gathered a small delegation consisting of himself, Megan, and Ethan. Each carried a sidearm but left heavier weapons behind as a gesture of goodwill. Together, they walked toward the designated meeting point, a flat stretch of rocky terrain. Midway between the human base and the Vrykon positions, Kelthor awaited them there, flanked by Zanara and two other warriors. The alien leader stood tall, his armored form imposing even in the pale orange light of EO7's sun. Both sides eyed each other warily, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "You wanted to talk," Ryan began, his tone neutral. "So talk." Kelthor inclined his head slightly, a gesture of respect. "Your resistance has been impressive," he admitted. "We underestimated you, and it cost us dearly. I propose a truce. Leave this planet unharmed, and we will depart without further interference." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Just like that? You walk away empty-handed?" "In exchange for safe passage," Kelthor clarified. "We won't return, nor will we share your location with others. Consider it a mutual benefit." Megan stepped forward, her hand resting lightly on her holstered pistol. "Why should we believe you? How do we know this isn't another trap?" Kelthor's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "Because continuing this fight serves neither of us. Your defenses are strong, your tactics unmatched. To destroy you would require resources we cannot afford to lose. A truce benefits both sides." Ethan glanced at Ryan, silently seeking guidance. Ryan considered the offer carefully. While skepticism lingered, he recognized the logic in Kelthar's words. Fighting endlessly would only lead to more casualties on both sides. If the Vrykans truly intended to leave, it was worth accepting. "The deal for now, fine," Ryan said finally. "We agree to your terms. But understand this, if you break your word, we won't hesitate to finish what we started." Kelthar nodded solemnly. "Understood. You have my assurance." With the agreement reached, both groups returned to their respective bases. Back inside the human encampment, Ryan briefed the rest of the team on the outcome. Reactions were mixed. Some, like Alex and Daniel, were cautiously optimistic, while others, like Megan, remained suspicious. "They're mercenaries," Megan argued. "Their word means nothing unless backed by force." "I know," Ryan replied. "But right now, we don't have the luxury of doubt. We need to focus on staying alive and protecting what's here. If they honor the truce, we buy ourselves time. If not," he paused, gripping his rifle tightly, "then we'll handle it." As the humans settled back into their routines, the Viking warship prepared to depart. Kelthier addressed his crew one final time before giving the order to lift off. "We came here to test these humans," he said, his voice carrying authority. "And they have proven themselves worthy adversaries. Remember this day? Learn from it. These soldiers may be few in number, but their strength lies in their unity and resolve. They remind us that numbers alone do not guarantee victory." Ship's engines roared to life, lifting it smoothly into the sky. From the observation tower, Alex watched as the vessel disappeared into the atmosphere, leaving behind only a faint trail of vapor. He lowered his binoculars and sighed heavily, unsure whether to feel relieved or uneasy. Days passed, and life on EO7 slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Sphera, the humans repaired the damage caused by the battles, reinforcing their defenses and setting up new traps just in case. Despite the truths, none of them let their guard down completely. Ryan insisted on maintaining constant vigilance, knowing that peace in the galaxy was often fleeting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the team gathered around a makeshift fire outside the barracks. They roasted ration packs on sticks and shared stories to lighten the mood. Even Megan cracked a rare smile, though her hand never strayed far from her weapon. "So what happens next?" Ethan asked, breaking the comfortable silence. "Do you think they'll really stay gone?" Ryan shrugged, poking at the fire with a stick. "Hard to say for now. We've earned a reprieve. Whether it lasts depends on the man on us." Alex leaned back against a rock, staring up at the stars. "Still can't believe we went toe-to-toe with mercenaries like the Vikings and came out on top. It wasn't easy," Megan added. "But that's what makes it count. We didn't give up, no matter how bad things got." Laura smiled softly, wrapping her arms around her knees. "Maybe word will spread about us. Maybe other factions will think twice before messing with us." Daniel chuckled dryly. "Or maybe they'll send someone worse next time." The comment drew nervous laughter from the group, but there was truth in his words. The universe was vast and unpredictable, filled with dangers beyond imagination. Still, Ryan felt a spark of pride as he looked at his team. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger, not just as individuals, but as a unit. "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it," Ryan said finally. "For now, let's focus on doing our jobs and staying alive. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it together." The fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across their faces. Above them, the stars twinkled brightly, indifferent to the struggles playing out below. Somewhere out there, tales of their encounter with the Viking collective were spreading, whispered among traders, bounty hunters, and rival factions. The legend of the elite human unit on EO7 was growing one battle at a time, and though none of them knew what the future held, they faced it with the same resilience and determination that had brought them this far. For now, that was enough. Weeks passed since the Viking collective's departure from U7. The humans remained vigilant, their routines unchanged despite the absence of immediate threats. Lieutenant Ryan Cole led his team with the same unwavering focus, ensuring that every member stayed sharp and prepared. Though the truce had bought them time, none of them trusted it to last forever. In the vastness of space, peace was often fragile, a temporary pause rather than a permanent resolution. The classified research facility at the heart of their mission continued its mysterious work. Ryan still didn't know exactly what secrets lay inside those reinforced walls, but he understood their importance. Whatever they were guarding had drawn the attention of powerful enemies, and it would likely attract more in the future. For now, his job was clear: protect the facility at all costs. Inside the barracks, life took on a quieter rhythm. The team worked together to repair damaged equipment and fortify their defenses further. Ethan Blake tinkered with salvaged parts, building new automated turrets to replace those lost in the battles. Daniel Brooks monitored communications channels, listening for any unusual activity in nearby sectors. Laura Simmons organized medical supplies, making sure everything was ready in case of emergencies. Meanwhile, Alex Carter spent hours atop the observation tower. Scanning the horizon with his sniper rifle, Megan Hayes kept the team disciplined, leading daily training exercises to ensure everyone remained combat-ready. "We can't afford to get complacent," she reminded them during one session. "If another group comes knocking, we need to be better than ever." Ryan agreed wholeheartedly. He pushed himself harder than anyone else, knowing that leadership meant setting an example. Still, there were moments when he allowed himself to reflect on everything they'd been through. The battles against the Vrykins had tested them in ways he hadn't anticipated. Their survival wasn't just a testament to their skills, it was proof of their unity. Each member of the team brought something unique to the table, and together they formed a bond stronger than steel. As days turned into weeks, word of their encounter with the Vrykhan collective began spreading across the galaxy. The traders and bounty hunters whispered about the elite human unit that had stood its ground against one of the most feared mercenary groups in existence. Some dismissed the stories as exaggerations, while others marveled at the implications. The humans' reputation grew, earning them both respect and caution among alien races far away. Aboard their sleek warship, Kelther reflected on the events of '07. The Vrykhan leader sat alone in his command chamber, staring at holographic maps of the stars. His decision to negotiate with the humans had been controversial among his crew, but he stood by it. The battle had taught him something valuable. All victories came from brute force. Sometimes wisdom lay in knowing when to walk away. Zanara entered the chamber quietly, her metallic claws clicking softly against the floor. "You're thinking about them again," she said, her voice tinged with curiosity. Kelther nodded. "They've left an impression. Few species could have held their own against us like they did." "They're dangerous," Nara replied. "Not because of their weapons or technology, but because of their spirit. They fight not just for themselves, but for each other." Kelther leaned back in his chair, his glowing eyes distant. "Yes, that's what makes them different. And that's why I chose not to finish the contract. Fighting such opponents would cost us too much, not just in lives, but in honor." Zanara tilted her head thoughtfully. "Do you think we'll see them again?" "Perhaps," Kelthor admitted. "But if we do, it won't be as enemies. Those humans have earned my respect. If anything, they remind me of us once young, once underestimated." Back on EO7, Ryan and his team celebrated their victory quietly. There were no grand speeches or ceremonies, just simple acknowledgments of what they had achieved together. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery hues, the team gathered around a makeshift fire outside the barracks. They roasted ration packs on sticks and shared stories, laughing about close calls and near misses. "I still can't believe Alex hit that drone mid-flight," Megan teased, nudging the sniper playfully. "How do you even pull off shots like that?" Alex shrugged modestly, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Luck, mostly. Right?" Ethan chimed in sarcastically. "Because luck is totally why you never miss." The comment drew laughter from the group, easing the tension that had lingered since the battles. Even Ryan cracked a smile, enjoying the rare moment of camaraderie. These soldiers weren't just colleagues, they were family. Each of them carried scars, both visible and invisible, but they bore them together. Laura leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees. "Do you think anyone will believe the stories about us? About how we held off the Vrykins?" Daniel chuckled softly. "Some will. Others will say it's impossible. But does it really matter? We know what happened. That's enough." "It's more than enough," Ryan added firmly. "What matters is that we survived, and we protected what needed protecting." That's our job, plain and simple. Megan nodded, her expression softening. Still, it feels good to know we made an impact. Maybe next time someone tries to mess with us, they'll think twice. Or send someone worse, Alex muttered under his breath, earning groans from the group. Don't jinx it, Ethan exclaimed, throwing a crumpled ration wrapper at him. Their laughter echoed into the night, blending with the sound of the wind sweeping across the barren plains. Above them, the stars glittered brightly, indifferent to the struggles playing. Out below, somewhere out there, tales of their encounter continued to spread, inspiring awe and caution alike. The legend of the elite human unit on EO7 was growing one battle at a time. Despite the uncertainty of the future, Ryan felt a quiet sense of pride as he looked at his team. They had faced incredible odds and emerged stronger, not just as individuals, but as a cohesive unit. Their resilience, adaptability, and trust in one another had carried them through the darkest moments. And though none of them knew what challenges lay ahead, they faced them with the same determination that had brought them this far. We'll keep doing what we do best, Ryan said finally, breaking the comfortable silence. Stay alert, stay united, and stay ready. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it together. His words hung in the air, resonating deeply with everyone present. They were more than just soldiers. They were survivors, bound by shared experiences and unshakable loyalty. They represented the best of humanity's courage, ingenuity, and unyielding spirit. The fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across their faces. Beyond the perimeter fence, the desert stretched endlessly, silent and desolate. Yet, within the confines of their small base, warmth and camaraderie prevailed. For now, that was enough. And so, beneath the vast expanse of stars, the humans of A7 stood guard. It's not just over the secrets they protected, but over the hope that their actions might inspire others to stand firm in the face of adversity. Whatever the future held, they would meet it head-on, united and unafraid.